everybody! Welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. We finally got something done as Lilith. On today's episode, let's see. Isaac has gone all the way. Maggie, she's got to beat basically the entire game on the light side, and then some. I'm not even talking about greed mode yet, or the challenges for that matter. Which, you know what? Let's knock out some freaking challenges, dude. We have about 1 million of them. Good lord. We got a lot of them. But we should do them because they unlock things. Now, I know that some of the things they unlock suck, but I want to do them anyway because, why not add a little bit more into the game, right? I totally forget half of these. Pitch Black, I'm assuming Curse of Darkness. 8QY7 3DWN, this one only goes to Mom's Heart. Or sorry, to Mom's Foot. Is this just, you know what? I've already done this once where we tried to figure them out on the fly. Let's go Pitch Black Isaac. What's this challenge? Curse of the Darkness and Curse of the Unknown on every level. Unlike other challenges, treasure rooms are available, but shops are not. Okay. So Curse of the Unknown. We can't see our HP, and we can't see, well, anything at all, really, Basil. Wait, that's two different movies. One of them is The Cable Guy, where he goes into the bathroom and he says to a blind bathroom attendant, "You didn't happen to see anything at all, did you?" And the other one is, "What does it all mean, Basil?" Mike Myers, fellow Canadian comedian and also National Order of Canada holder, probably, if I had to guess. But different movies came out a distance apart. No doubt about that. Either way. Let's just be real. This challenge seems extremely easy. And I'm still a little, self-conscious. Ooh, it's pretty good. I'm still a little self-conscious of the fact that, these episodes have been a little bit shorter because they're not endgame episodes. They don't go as far as the other ones, or greed mode's easy, and we usually end up getting what we need pretty early on, etc., etc. And as a result, maybe we'll be able to fit in 2 challenges, because if I'm being real with you, this first one does not seem like a problem at all. I don't know what my HP is, but I do because it's Isaac. We have to keep beads on, how much damage we take, but apart from that. And then we also have Curse of the Darkness, which really doesn't matter unless we're on the burning basement for the most part. It's one of those curses, you barely notice. I guess if we encounter, enemies that leave red creep, that could be annoying as well, but I'm trying to think, are there enemies that leave red creep this early on? There's definitely some in the womb, and I only remember that because so often I end up walking on their creep by accident. I'm walking on their window. What the hell am I doing here? Taking bad damage. Anyway, that's what I wanted right there. Crack this bad boy open. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Turned a bomb and a key into a bomb and a key. Wait, no. Turned a bomb into a bomb and a key. That's a pretty good deal. How big was Prozac in America? Not the antidepressant, but the band. The Canadian cartoon band. Of course, by the way, we ended up on the burning basement. Because they had a little track 4 on Hot Show. It was called Umbala Charade, but we could mix it up if it's an accessible enough anecdote. Oh, a bomb and a key. You know that Isaac needs you. Got a bomb and a key. Hang on because I'm on my way. It's the end of that. Dude, I was thinking the other day. I know a very common NL tangent is how lucky we are to live in the future. And there's bad things about it too, like the fact that, incomes have stagnated for 30 years relative to inflation, so you're effectively making less money now working with a bachelor's degree potentially than your dad was working at a gas station fresh out of high school. But anyway, I digress. Everyone knows about the bad parts. What about the good parts? When I was a kid, maybe 10 years old. Well, this is not even a question here. I'll take the apple here. Which also was a Tears upgrade, I didn't realize. When I was a kid, I went to Nova Scotia with my parents. With my grandparents. The whole story's falling apart now. I went to Nova Scotia with my grandparents. From Ontario, it was as a kid, it felt like months. But we took 3 days or 4 days to drive there. Probably like 6 or 7 hours each day. So it's like a 30-hour drive. It's no joke. My parents were like, hey, before you go, you know, you have a Discman. I'm just a little scared about this. AKA a portable CD player. That's what we called them back in the day. Why don't, like, we'll buy you a CD if you go on this vacation with your grandparents. And I'm realizing now it's actually, like, the cheapest daycare of all time. It was like a $20 CD. I didn't get Hot Show by Prozac. I bought that one with my own money a little bit later. I got Americana by The Offspring, and I had to convince my parents to let me get it. I was like, it's got some mature themes, but I think I can handle it. Give it to me, baby. So, yeah, I don't know if I would describe that album as mature. I guess the kids aren't all right is kind of anyway, this is irrelevant is the thing. But yeah, that was like a gift. And I'm not saying I lived like a terribly impoverished life, you know, quite the opposite. Let me just see if I can get in here. I know I have half a spirit heart at least. Possibly a full spirit heart protecting me. There are enemies that leave red creep, as we're now intimately familiar. Either way, but it was like an ask, you know. It was $20 to buy one album's worth of music. And I know, I guess it still is if you're still buying CDs or like full albums on iTunes, but my Google Play subscription is like $10 or $15 a month. I get unlimited access to whatever music I want. It's like CDs were so expensive. Oh, parents started buying their kids razor blades. No, but CDs were so expensive that, you know, when the piracy wave hit, there was like an overcorrection, and now it's like, it's so dang cheap, it makes me feel guilty about paying for music. I'm like, I feel like I should send you some more money for this, because, you know, back in the day, I was spending $25, $20 maybe per CD for junk albums. Remember in high school, HMV, which was like a, by the way, I'm just realizing I still have my Google tab open in the background, and my own video of Pitch Black, the Isaac Challenge, came up in the search results. So that's encouraging. Keep searching those Isaac Challenges, please. But either way, HMV, you know, a music retailer that still exists to some extent in Canada, but is having trouble. As, you know, you could probably guess from the fact that they don't sell music so much anymore. It's like posters of Mad Max Fury Road, but I digress. When I was in high school and I got into being a music snob, HMV had like a 3 CDs for $15 promotion, and I was like, this is my jam. Remain in Tongues. Wait, that's two different Talking Heads albums. Remain in Light. Who's Next? My Bloody Valentine's, Loveless. There's 3 right there. Thank you very much. It wasn't any 3 CDs, because of course then you could use that. You could scam the system by actually buying a CD that was new and should be worth like $22, like Usher's Burn or whatever, Confessions Part 2. Okay, it's been a while, that's all I'm saying. Green Day's American Idiot. Yeah, dude, things are cheap. Sort of. They're cheap and they're not cheap, because I was thinking about it the other day, because I wouldn't say it was an argument, but Nick and I had a discussion about PlayStation Plus prizes. Let me rephrase this. PlayStation Plus prices rising in the UK. Previously, and this goes into effect like August 31st or something like that. In the UK, it was like $39.99. You know, basically £40 per year to have PlayStation Plus, and now it's going up to $50. That's a 20% increase, 25% increase, I suppose, depending on which perspective you're looking at there. That's a lot, but at the same time, and this is a little anti-consumer of me, but I was paying, you know, $80 Canadian for games back in like the year 2000. And games have just now, with like the destruction of the Canadian dollar, which is now reversing, thankfully, for people who don't get paid in USD. Womp womp. But it's probably good for my countrymen, so... Anyway, the point is, you know, games recently were like price raised up to 70 or even 80 bucks in Canada, up from 60 where they had been since like 2006 or something like that. But I was paying $80 for N64 games back in like 1998, and I understand, you know, the concept of inflation and stuff like that, so... I mean, it's a complicated economic thing. I'm just saying, for the most part, I understand price raises. Because otherwise your revenues get eaten up 100% by the rising, you know, inflation rates. Or not rising inflation rates, but just inflation. It's the same reason you don't want to just have, you know, your savings sitting in cash in your bank account if you have an excess. I think we can afford to go for broke here. I mean, we probably should take this because we haven't seen it in the game yet, but it's a little risky, I suppose. I don't even know if... Oh, yeah, we get no achievements for this, so that was kind of a waste. But, you know, if you've got your money making 0.5% per year in a savings account, but inflation is 2% a year, effectively you're losing 1.5% of your money annually. But anyway, I digress. The point is... Originally, I was, like, on Sony's side a little bit. I was like, yeah, everything costs more money as time goes on. You know, I don't want to be one of those people who's like, oh, $2 for a Coke. Back in my day, it was a nickel. I mean, minimum wage was 14 cents an hour, but you know, I'm wary of becoming that guy. But then, you know, raising the prices by, like, 10 pounds in 1 year is, like, a prohibitive increase. And I think people were justifiably, kind of upset about it. So I'm of two minds about it, really, is what I'm getting at. But I understand, you know, the prices of things rise. Wages have stagnated a little bit. It's all the side hustle now. I'm of two minds about something like Uber. I feel like it's such a complicated issue. Like, everybody has an opinion on Uber and Lyft and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm talking absent the, you know, the politics of the brass, rather just judging the service on its merits. It's so good, and it's so much cheaper than using a taxi, but I feel guilty using it because I'm like, I'm literally supporting the race to the bottom, you know? I'm not saying, if we took a taxi from our apartment to the airport, it's like $30. We don't have Uber in Vancouver because they fought back against it before they could get it in here, but it's been kind of like on the agenda for years and years, either way. Well, let's just use, like, Boston as an example, you know? Or a better example would be, like, LA. In LA, when we went there for E3 last year, we took a taxi from the airport to our hotel, and it cost us, like, 40 or 50 bucks. It was expensive. I understand the airport is, like, outside of Los Angeles. I mean, it's better, sort of, here. That was bad damage. Is this our... No, we got 2 floors left. Okay. Don't care about that. Yeah, let's grab this. Maybe we can make this work for us. A little on the compromising side, but that's fine. Anyway, so yeah, and I was okay to pay it because I've taken taxis my whole life, but I was like, man, that's an expensive taxi. On the way back, we took an Uber from where we were staying to the airport, and it was like $18. It was literally like 1/3 of the price. And you're like, how could I not take this? I know that, especially, and people are always gonna say, like, oh, you don't understand what it's like to be a taxi driver. No, I do, actually. Like, my grandfather, he was a journeyman. He had many careers, you know, drywaller, various different kinds of construction, computer repair, and finally a taxi driver. So I'm very sympathetic to the, you know, you buy your way into what is essentially a racket, and then, you know, this upstart comes in and is just like, I don't really care about your rules. We're just gonna, like, undercut you by 1/3, and everybody's gonna use us. But at the same time, like, why wouldn't you? Every time I'm in the U.S., I'm like, I'm gonna use Uber. It's just cheaper. And I do understand the concerns about the platform, but it's still like, I mean, we don't need to do anything else this for. There's no shops. It still makes sense. But then, sometimes, you know, in Vancouver, if we're going to the airport, we gotta get in a taxi, and the taxi driver is, like, driving like a maniac. It's weird that the cheaper service also seems to have better service most of the time. You know, I feel like I'm in this weird self-policing kind of quandary where I'm like, I should put my life in greater danger by supporting the taxi because it's, like, a fair wage as opposed to, like, the Uber driver. You know, you drive me half an hour, and you're making, like, $4 on that ride. Like, the Uber drivers are making peanuts. It's a side hustle, but nobody's getting rich. I think, at least. And I have sympathy for that, you know? I think, as with many things, the real answer, or the ideal answer, is maybe somewhere in the middle. But I also don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying it's confusing, okay? That's what it's like to be a millennial in this day and age. I mean, I'll just level with you. I'm lucky. I'm outside of the rat race, right? But I sympathize with the fact that, you know, wages have stagnated. So what do? You're getting, you know, bent over by all these media properties. You're saying, oh, millennials are killing Applebee's. Yeah, why would people pay, you know, $17 to get a quesadilla at Applebee's when they can, you know, eat out of a jar of peanut butter for $2 a kilogram or something like that? You know, wages are stagnating. These people don't have disposable income to support the businesses that have previously, you know, perhaps flourished under a different generation, not to mention just taste change. I mean, very few people are gonna, number one, be like, hey, let's go to Applebee's, everybody. Everybody get in your cars, let's go meet at Applebee's for my birthday party. It's a rare situation for like a 20-something to want that, but, you know, you can't have it both ways here. Of course, you know, the less you pay the generation that's up and coming, the more businesses are gonna suffer as a result. Where's the money supposed to come from? Same thing, you're like, you know, but as a millennial, you're like, I gotta take Uber as well, as anybody, I guess. As a consumer, you're just gonna say, I'm gonna take Uber as the cheaper service, but the Uber driver's making no money. As a result, the Uber driver is like, he's ending up in the same boat as you. I don't know. I'm getting too deep in my own world here, I suppose, but it's just food for thought. And as with everything that I bring up here, I'm probably ignorant of, not the entire issue necessarily, but of some things that are major considerations for the entire issue. We can make do with that. And as a result, I never wanna, I'm like so not one of those YouTube guys who is like, hey, I know you came for the gameplay, but like, here's how, you know, eat the rich, etc., right? Here's what I feel about, you know, the rise of modern socialism. I'm not that YouTube guy, and I will never be that YouTube guy, just because I have no interest in it. And also, I don't have that high of an opinion of myself to think that I should be pushing my opinions on other people, but I digress. Anyway, the point is, it's just food for thought, you know? It's just conversation. I'm trying to give you food for thought as well, and maybe, you know, we can, like, meet in the middle somewhere along. And you know what? I say it as much for me as well. Maybe you guys could teach me something that, oh, that was just horrible. Maybe you guys could teach me something that could, you know, elevate my understanding of the issue as well. Do you use Uber? Do you not use Uber? Why or why not? I really need, I mean, I probably don't need it, but I want something to take me over the top here. That's definitely not going to do it. Shears is real good, but I mean, it does sort of work with illuminated bulb, but I think we can make illuminated bulb. Yeah, let's take this. I think we can make illuminated bulb work better for us by holding Guppy's head here, because our shot speed is way too high. Dry baby. Nice to see you. Card is High Priestess. They're both great. I think we want High Priestess. The burst damage is probably better right now. It's probably going to make it to Vancouver eventually. We're like living in a different part of the world at this point. You know, I can't believe that we still don't have any form of ride sharing, but maybe it's a good thing because the way I understand it, I mean, maybe it's not such a great thing for the consumer, but the way I understand how Uber has kind of risen to it's the size it is today is basically they just kind of like set up in cities, and then by the time you know, the taxi industry was like, can we stop this? Consumers were already like demanding it, which they should, because it's usually a better service and also cheaper. But anyway, I digress. You know what? I encountered something today in our gig-based side hustle economy. I had a rare fit of righteous anger, and I know what you're saying. Rare fit? Yeah, okay, you got me. But, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Kate is feeling a little bit under the weather, so she's like, hey, NL. She doesn't call me NL. We're married. She doesn't use any pet name for me. She just says, hey, do this. That's a joke. That's a hacky joke from like a 1990s comedian. Anyway, let's use this. We can't make any benefit out of that. She said, I'm not feeling that well because you ordered lunch for me. And I was like, yeah, what do you want? She's like, I want this noodle place. And I was like, all right, I'll find the place online, because there's like 8 food delivery services right now in our area. And Nobody knows which one's coming out over the top yet, so like all the restaurants are signed to different places. Anyway, I figured out the place, and this restaurant, when I ordered, kind of boggled my mind. Because they have a minimum price for your order to deliver it. And this is very common. You know, a lot of places, if you go to like a place and you're like, hey, can I get some delivery? I'll have one Coke, please. You know, they're gonna tell you to screw off. But they had a minimum delivery price, and I understand it's $20, fairly reasonable. You know, it's a dinner for two being ordered in. That's fair. But then they also had a delivery surcharge at the same time, and I was like, if you're already, usually it's got to be one or the other. Either you say, hey, you got to order a lot of food to make it worth our while to deliver, or you say you can order as much or as little food as you want, but you pay the delivery charge on top of it. Or so you could be like, hey, can you deliver one Coke? And they'd be like, yeah, that'll be $6, $1 for the Coke and $5 delivery, right? A little expensive on the delivery charge, but I digress. So I was a little incensed. I was like 1 out of 10 incensed, aka mildly perturbed. It's like, how does this business think it can get off by doing this? And the way that I noticed, by the way, is I ordered what Kate wanted, and it came to like, the minimum cost was $20 for the delivery, and her order came to like, well, there's no way we're doing boss rush on this run. Don't make me laugh. The order came to like $18, and they're like, you gotta add an extra $2 or pay $2 extra to do this. And I was like, nah, I'll order something for $2. So yes, in the end, I did support their business model. We're gonna do another challenge here, because that was like super easy. Highbrow. What is highbrow? Give me a sec. Oh, it's all the poop items. I remember. So really the problem with this run right now is our range. Am I in the wrong here? I certainly don't want this to be like, you know, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like, I don't want to be out of touch, but I thought we agreed as a society we were in an either-or delivery situation. Either there's a minimum delivery fee that forces you to buy enough food that it's worth the restaurant's while to deliver it for free, or you pay the fee and they'll deliver whatever amount of food that you want. But I could be mistaken. I'm just saying there's a double dip going on here. I'm paying you for the food. I'm paying the cyclist to risk his life driving in Vancouver traffic to deliver this lunch to me that I probably should have just made myself and saved a bunch of money. It's, you know, the avocado toast theory. And now I'm paying you to have made the website and administer the transaction to begin with, and then we got this extra little, you know, like meta economy going on at the same time here. I don't understand. There might not be treasure rooms on this one, by the way, so we should be... There definitely are not treasure rooms based on our situation right here. By the way, I recognize... Anytime... I'm just asking the internet to be nicer, which is always like... It's like rule number one of being on the internet is like, don't ask the internet to be nicer, you're just asking for trouble. But anytime you bring up buying anything, the whole internet turns into r/frugal, and I'm asking for some understanding. Kate and I do eat out. We don't eat out that much. Well, we sort of do in the sense that we also have an ingredient delivery service that we cook from, but we've been eating healthier lately, so, you know, we've been eating out less. Well, depending on whether or not you count a service that delivers groceries to then be cooked as eating out, but this is just a semantic issue, which is a whole different subset of internet arguments, but regardless, you know, it happens. Anytime you talk about eating out, somebody's always like, why would you ever eat out? I go to the grocery store, I buy a sack of dry beans, and I buy a sack of dried rice, and it's, you know, $11, and that gives me enough matter and all 20 essential amino acids for, you know, the next 20 days. Dude, I'm not even messing with you. That's sick. That's like the coolest thing ever. And you know what? The great news is that you're already getting an extrinsic benefit for that. You're saving so much money. That's sick. I'm not, it sounds like I'm using my sarcasm like, oh, good for you voice, but I'm not. That's awesome, dude. A lot of people are very frivolous with their finances, especially at a young age, and it can come back to bite you in the butt. I worked with a lady, she was in debt and being harassed by creditors. You know why? Ooh, not pretty fly. You know why she was being harassed by creditors? She bought too many songs on iTunes. So, like, rest assured that when I say good for you, I mean good for you. Way to pay attention to your finances. You know why people eat out, though? Because it's convenient. It's convenient, and, you know, if you go out to eat, it's fun. So, you gotta balance it both ways, but I'm just... It happened again this week. I got my oil changed. Our car... I know nothing about cars, and that's a bad thing. I'm not saying I should know. I'm not gonna get self-righteous and say, like, oh, well, I've specialized into Isaac labor and being entertaining, so I don't need to know about cars, because, you know, it might compromise how good I am at making stupid bits, you know? Not relevant. It's a flaw, but you do have to choose your battles in life, you know? I consider myself a relatively good conversationalist. I work hard at my job, and I also am, like, learning computer programming, doing side projects with that in my downtime. So I got, like, a lot on the go. So, you know what? Screw it. I paid to get my oil changed. You know, oh, we should have just not picked that up, but that's okay. You know who else pays a professional to change their oil, even though it's super doable in your own home? Like millions and millions of people worldwide, based on the fact that when I Googled Vancouver oil change, I got like tens of pages of results. Anyway, I digress. As soon as I said that I took my car to a shop to get the oil changed, everybody comes out of the woodwork. It's like, oh, it's just, you watch like a 45-minute YouTube tutorial, jack up your car in your parking garage, get under it, and like, you know what? It's okay. I'm alright being a little bit millennial. I'll pay someone, we paid someone to come fix our sink. I mean, that's a little different, because our landlord reimbursed us. But we paid someone to come fix our sink. Well, if our washing machine breaks, I'll pay someone to fix it. Anything to do with, like, electrical, I'll pay someone for it. Anything to do with my car, I'm gonna pay someone for it. I should learn how to change the spare, though. That's just one of those things, like, you should know. I think there's, like, a... You can run into this dangerous cycle of self-improvement, you know? This sounds like like I'm giving you an excuse for laziness, and I'm not trying to do that, because I'm actually a motivated and driven person, and if I make use of my time on a daily basis. There's no way to talk about it without seeming like you're bragging, but I very little of my time spent these days is purposeless. You know, I'm working, I'm learning, or I'm walking. Exercising, you know? And then Sundays at 8 p.m. Pacific time, Game of Thrones comes on, and then we're back to the grind again after that point, you know? Get a little bit of, you know nothing, Jon Snow, and then I'm, you know, back on the horse. But, I think it's possible to just be like, you know, you should never pay anybody for anything. And that's, I mean, probably, like, really good financially, but also, I don't know if it's a reasonable request. Is all I'm saying. Like, what do you do? Is what I ask after that point. You know, oh, you're a business analyst? Well, maybe I'll just analyze my own business from now on and identify the processes with a Gantt chart. That's right, I know what you do. I took a 6-week course on agile methods. Mr. So-and-so. This commentary is getting increasingly niche, but all I'm saying is that we're all adults. And as soon as you become an adult, you realize that all other adults are just figuring it out as they go. So let us all figure it out together while being free of judgment. Thank God we had Goathead, otherwise we never would have made it there. By the way, I'm like completely ignoring the purpose of this challenge, like entirely. I am basically never using the flush. I don't care, dude. I'm just gonna axe you. Lunch. We got enough bombs to get over here. I'm okay with this. You know what? Take Callus as well. This one goes to Mom's Foot as well. So you know what? Knocking out 2 challenges like this per episode seems exactly appropriate. We got Hagalaz on the last episode. I have had some people that asked me, they were like, why don't you do what Cobalt does? And, you know, when you do a new save file, only do the challenge that unlocks Sierra. I'm in this for badness just as much as goodness. You know, it's like Jason Lee said in Vanilla Sky. You can't have the sweet without the sour. So, we're getting a little sourness available as well here. I'll try it. And I think there's like validity to that statement. You know, what was it that Lisa Simpson said? This could not be a more like born in the late 80s or early 90s conversation now. You know, Lisa Simpson said, you know, we no longer feel highs or lows, we just have an ironic sense of detachment. And then Homer goes like, oh, what's that like? And she goes, eh. See, it's like a self-aware sort of joke. That's, I prefer things the other way, you know, soaring highs and, well, I pretty much stay on the level, to be honest with you. No, I botched that one miserably. We're in a pretty good spot here, though. But no, you know, I think the sweet isn't as sweet without the sour. You know, you gotta know what it feels like to be down in the dumps to truly appreciate what you've got, you know? I mean, I would know my life has been fairly easy. I cried in the 6th grade once because my teacher made us, we had to do a book report, but instead of doing, I'm just gonna go, we got goat head, right? Instead of doing a book report on paper, he made us build like a mobile, you know, like is it a mobile? A mobile? Like the things that babies have in their cribs, and he was like, you know, make a mobile with the imagery from the book. And like I made one and it was junk and I cried. And I was like, why can't I just write the paper? God, I hate that guy. Anyway, look. I like school, and I'm not afraid to admit it. That project is stupid. There's a couple school projects that show up now and then. Everybody hates them. I had to do paper mache in 6th grade as well. Like, we did a paper mache originally written puppet show. God. Just give us a book report, dude. Stop trying to be the cool teacher. You're taking it too far. Dude, oh, no, this is how we ball. Okay, so we take IV bag, and we use this to give us invincibility that we can then use with ball of bandages. It's one of the ways that we can have fun on this run, coincidentally, or not so coincidentally. It's also one of the few ways we could die on this run from being a little overly aggressive here. I was overcomplicating it there for a second. We have no reason to really use our orbital. We can just walk into enemies and kill them instantly, so. Red heart, please. Now, potato peeler, we used it on our last greed mode run. I don't think it's really appropriate here. Dull razor would also function. Sackhead is just like, it's a killer item, so obviously we're gonna roll with that. Let me out, please. And that's all I gotta say about that. Should always, like, cap it off, right? I don't have anything else to say about that. I don't know. It's like, the internet is like this weird dichotomy, though, where I'm like, you get your oil changed by a professional, and people go, what are you doing? Just learn to change your own oil. And you're like, what even? You sound like you got it all together, but I lurked chat for 20 minutes before you got here. You guys were talking about who your, like, anime wife is. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying, how could you be experts on both hot anime ladies and also, like, getting your oil changed? Like, there's only so much time in the day. If anything, I'm just impressed by that level of ambition. I mean, come on. We're gonna obviously go for broke here. It's like Austin. Austin, he's a young boy and he's a sweet boy, but he's been corrupted by the internet. Keeps holding these opinions like wine is an international conspiracy. Any acquired taste, in Austin's opinion, is you tricking yourself. That must be Hagalaz. Is you tricking yourself into liking something that's actually bad for reasons that I can't really articulate, but maybe I'm just missing. Maybe I'm part of the scheme. You know, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the deal. Oh, we shouldn't have blown that up. Clearly. Wait a minute. No, we got brimstone. That's correct. We're set. It's like he does drink coffee, and I think he accepts that coffee is an acquired taste, but he actually thinks all alcohol is an acquired taste. Or not an acquired taste, sorry, a fiction. Like that none of it tastes good, and everybody who thinks it tastes good is tricking themselves. I hold so many ridiculous opinions. You're entitled to hold whatever ridiculous opinions you want, but at least accept that it's ridiculous. There are some delicious beers and wines and whiskeys and scotches, and even though I can't appreciate them, I'm sure some delicious gins, vodkas out there. Just a matter of, you know, learning to stretch your palate out a little bit. The idea that it's a conspiracy is... And I know some of you out there are like this as well, because I've seen, like, to be fair, when he brings it up and he knows this happens, like, 90% of chat goes, what are you talking about? But, like, 10% of chat is like, he's right. All beer is disgusting. And I can't... It's ridiculous to suggest this. We don't need to go to our shop. We're so unbelievably set here. It's a nonsense opinion. Why not go for broke a little bit here just for fun, I suppose? I hold ridiculous opinions too, and I like to talk about them because I like for other people to hear them, laugh, and then highlight what's wrong with them, and it helps me grow as... Oh, this is not our final floor. Whoops. Help me grow as a person. For example, a pet theory that I've had that anybody else have these theories that you think are like... You know they're probably false, but in your head... You're like, I haven't seen compelling evidence yet, so I just kind of like, I'm going to choose to believe this a little while longer. One for me is the idea that everything tastes the same to everybody. What I mean by that is, you know, when I taste broccoli, I taste exactly the same thing that you do. The only thing that's different and what determines whether or not we actually like it is our interpretation of that taste, which I think largely is... influence, of course it's gonna be hot gloss, is largely influenced by like our mental approach to the game. So I think if we're like, I mean, let's be honest, dude, I'm gonna open these and get out of here. You know, if I have like you and somebody else in the room and both of you have never even conceived of the idea of broccoli before, you have no idea what broccoli is, and for one of you I go, hey, I'm about to feed you this like little baby tree. It's the most delicious food. Everybody loves it. It's like, it's so healthy for you, and it's amazing to eat. And then I feed it to them. I think that they taste broccoli, and they are more likely to go, ooh, that's amazing. That's really nice, and ooh, floral. And then if I have the other person in the other room, and I go, hey, this is broccoli. It's like, it's technically edible, but Earthlings use it as like packing peanuts, because it's like gross, and it's horrible for you. It's like, it's worse for you than like eating a Snickers bar. And then I feed it to them, they're gonna be like, oh, that's gross, you know? And I think that that's probably false, but I've never seen anybody refute it in such a way that I was like, you got me. Oh, there's Yara right there. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's my stupid pet theory, to counteract me coming over the top on Austin a little bit. If you enjoyed the episode, click the like button. Helps out a great deal, and of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.